PR, short for power ranking, is one of the most important things in Fortnite. The more you have, the better teammates you'll find, meaning you're more likely to make earnings. Not only this, but you will increase your chances of getting picked up by an org and paid to be a pro player, as they search for talent with the most PR to get the most bang for their buck. So this video is an in-depth guide on how to get more PR, and it will work for everyone regardless of your current skill level. So the first and probably most important step is knowing what current cups give PR, as you'll want to play all of these. Even if you place bad and get small amounts, it all adds up. And no one looks at how many events you've played, only your total PR. At the time of making this video, the only current cups that give PR are the Duo Divisional Cups, but only from Div 4 onwards. Reload Quick Cups, but only rounds 2 and 3 to those in the highest group that got a win in Opens. All 6 qualifiers of the solo series we have. And also the Performance Evaluation Cups, but you'll need to be Div 1 to play these. And there's the Console Victory Cups too, but these give console PR, which is separate to normal PR. If any new events come out after making this video, all you need to do is go to the Fortnite Tracker website, go to the event and click the power ranking tabs, and then it will tell you if it has PR and what multiplier it has. These PR multipliers are really important for you to pay attention to on your track to get more PR, because placing bad in a cup with a high PR multiplier can give you more PR than placing good in a cup where the multiplier is low. You can see that in this example where I got more PR for placing top 2k than I did top 400. This is because the last chance qualifier had the highest multiplier you can get, which is 3, and Division 3 had the second smallest, which is a 0.5. So although a good balance between solo and duos would be best, there should be a priority when it comes to PR. That being duos, because there's 36 of these events where you can earn PR compared to the solos that only has 6. However, solos do have a better multiplier than the Reload Cups and Division 3 and under. Another reason that they shouldn't be neglected is that if in solos you place well, you're almost proving yourself. You've not had anyone there to carry you, and people who place well in solos normally find better teammates. Therefore, they're going to be able to place better and earn more PR from all these duo events. I know a lot of people that don't even play solos, and this is a huge mistake, because not only are they going to be missing out on the PR, but solos is literally the best for improving as a player. So make sure you don't neglect either game mode, and make sure you practice both every week. A bonus tip is something the pros do with their schedules, and they only practice duos in the weekdays because this is when all the duo cups are on, and then after this on the weekends they start practicing solos, as this is when the solo cups are. Not only does this mean you're covering both game modes per week, but it also means you're practicing for the most upcoming and relevant tourney, meaning you'll place better. Something that costs a lot of players PR is they try to play for the qualification instead of leaderboard placement. For example, a lot of players are far off qual going into their last games, and they know they need ridiculously high kill wins to catch up. So they start keying everyone they see, which is obviously really risky, and more times than not they end up dying early on and end up placing even worse on the leaderboard, meaning they get less PR, or in a worst case, none at all. But a more PR driven player will think, I can't qualify, but I'm going to do the next best thing and place as high as possible, getting the most PR. So they just play endgame in their remaining games, which boosts them way up the leaderboard and gives them way more PR than the player who tried to force qual. It's the exact same thing when players have a few bad games and they stop playing really early. Even though they've been through a few games, which may now mean they can't qual, they can still earn a lot of PR if they then play out their remaining games. In my opinion, the only time it's warranted to stop playing is if you know you're going to finish in the top 8 to 10k. This is outside the threshold where you're rewarded PR, but anything below top 10k will still appear on the tracker, so it will look really bad. This may be the difference if people pick you as a teammate, but then you have to think, do you really want to play with someone that gets into that level of nitty gritty? But also, by not playing them remaining games, it's lost tournament experience which you could have learned from. A little disclaimer, this isn't me saying you should never aim for qualification. I'm just saying that although it's good to have high goals, you also need to make sure they're realistic. In this section, we're going to be talking about how to improve as a player, because as you become better, your placements are also going to improve, meaning you can get more PR. The biggest mistake a lot of players make is they play a tournament, don't learn from it, and then they go and make the same mistakes the next tournament. The best thing you can do to improve is VOD review every single tournament game you play. This sounds daunting, but you don't have to watch all 10 games straight after the tournament. If you wanted to, you could even watch one game a day, but the most important thing here is making sure that you watch all of them before the next tournament so you can can fix all your mistakes ready for this cup. There's 20 duo games a week. Who do you think is going to place better and get more PR? The team that VOD reviews all 20 games or the team that doesn't do any? However, there are a few common mistakes that people make when VOD reviewing which can actually hold them back from any improvement. One actually came up in conversation with a viewer the other day where they were showing me their VOD review notes and asking for advice. Straight away I noticed all the notes were fighting specific and how they died in that exact moment. But what they didn't look at when VOD reviewing is how they actually got into all these fights and why they were getting pushed. For example, they could have been late leaving their drop and then just white line to the next zone, but this hugely increases the chances of running into another team and getting into a fight. If you'd like me to answer any personalized questions for you, make sure to join my Discord server, which is linked in the description. The other VOD review mistake that doesn't lead to any improvement is super common, and it's when you gather all your mistakes but then you do nothing with this information. Most players think they can just store all this in their brains and then in a few days they forget all of it. So instead you should write it down so you don't forget any of it, but even then it's useless if you don't do anything with this information. What you should be doing instead is taking one mistake at a time, go into practice and fix it until it's no longer an issue in your natural gameplay. There's an emphasis on one at a time because this is the easiest way to get new things implemented into your gameplay. For example, instead of trying to fix all 10 solo series mistakes in one day, you would take one, which may be getting refreshes. Have your goals for the day to solely be to improve that one thing. You would then go away and prioritize things like cup endgame and scrims in your training so you could fix this weakness. However, even if you improve and you're a good player, if you don't know how to play cups properly, you're not going to maximize and get the best placement possible, therefore losing out on PR. The first thing you need to learn is game and time management. This is ensuring that throughout the tournament, your games left align with the time left. You should never burn through your games and finish the cup early, but on the other hand, you shouldn't have loads of games spare where you could have took more risk and had better point games. To prevent this, just keep an eye on games left and time throughout the tournament. If you're burning through games, you could do the popular strategy where you just wait until you queue to your next games. This has multiple benefits, one being that by the time you play your next game, you're going to have dropped down the leaderboard, meaning your lobbies will be easier and you can get a catch-up game. The other being by having a longer break, it's going to give you more of a mental reset, meaning you're going to be more focused for the next game. It's so surprising how many people just stay at their desk and immediately queue into the next game, but they're still carrying so much anger from the game before. If you're in the opposite situation and you have a lot of games spare, you can play more risky, like I said. Some examples are landing at a better POI, which will give you better loot to go on and get more points in the game, taking more fights for refreshes or elimination points, and if you get that far, forcing win conditions like high ground. However, I do recommend you keep at least one backup game, because if the game you go to play out doesn't go to plan and you die off spawn, for example, you at least have this spare game to fall back on and it won't ruin your tournament. Another mistake people make is they spend way too much time in these key games to get minimal points. They could have instead played out an endgame and got way more points. The other way to properly play tournaments is playing to your correct playstyle and strengths. There's many different causes of why players try and change this up before or during the tournament, but I don't want to get into that. The most important thing is that you just play to your best ability. In solos, this can be easier because you obviously have the freedom to play however you like, whereas in duos, you need to make sure your teammate matches your playstyle, either passive or key style. I go into this in more detail in this video, but I also tell you how to qualify for duo FNCS, which will skyrocket your PR. And make sure to click here to subscribe and turn on notifications because I've got way more tutorials on the way that you don't want to miss.